What's going on, fam? Back with another video. Hope you guys have been doing well. Today's video, we have some really nice updates to show you guys. We're having relief bounces across the board, and the question is this relief bounce going to turn to a reversal? I have some really nice updates because when it comes to alt season and Ethereum is actually looking really nice here, where we can actually see some Ethereum to Bitcoin chart breakouts, which of course is the prerequisite to really see that base chain season for our base native token assets like Toshi, Alien Base, and Warm token, etc. So without further ado, I'm Dope Oxide. I make content on YouTube, X, and CoinMarketCap, so be sure to follow those pages. Be sure to follow X page because I do some exclusive TA analysis over there. But let's get right into it. First of all, liquidations. Liquidations have been looking really nice lately. We're starting to see that 50-50 split come into an equilibrium. And when it comes to long to short ratio, it's looking really nice. And today, since we had a nice little relief bounce to the upside, we had some short liquidations occur. And when it comes to that heat map, the heat map is showing that we're having quite a bit of liquidations above us and below us. Let's see if we actually go below. I'm not sure if we're going to hit 83k as it stands right now. I do expect we have a bit higher to go for that relief bounce. Let's see if we get a full-on reversal. For full-on reversals, I would like to see Bitcoin above 101k and actually hold above it, but still a long ways away to there. But when it comes to the broader market for the liquidation heat map, as you guys can see, we're having quite a bit of liquidations getting built up at that 109k key region. If that keeps building up, that's just going to be a magnet for the market makers to at least sweep to the upside, and then we might roll over from there. We're going to have to see, as usual, if we're going to have a full-on reversal. We're going to have to see some data points to actually back that. But as it stands right now, I do expect this relief bounce has more to go. Let's see if it can hold structure and actually make a new impulse to the upside. Because if that is the case, it actually opens up to all-time highs for the end of this year. Next up is the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, the highlight of the day. As you guys can see, generally for Ethereum to Bitcoin, it has actually been downtrending since the 24th of August. We've finally had that breakout, but something to note, because as you guys can see, a few times before, we actually had a close above, and then immediately rejected, and then went down to the downside. So I would like to see a consecutive daily close above this, because who knows, we could actually just go and have a massive dump and go back into that channel. But for this trend to actually successively change, I want to see consecutive green candles above this major trend line. And if that is the case, and if we do get that confirmation, we can expect Ethereum to Bitcoin to really start having a massive impulse to the upside, where we can hit that major target, which is currently at the 0.046 region. I've been eyeing that for the remainder of this bull market, because as you guys can see, when it comes to this parabolic move for Ethereum to Bitcoin, if I actually invert it, because it's much easier to show you guys, generally parabolic moves end to the downside, and once we have that breakage of that parabolic move, we can expect the parabolic move to actually go down to the third wave target, which is all the way down to that 4.7 region. So that is my minimum target for this bull cycle. We could go lower, but when it comes to profit taking, that is going to be a major profit taking area. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is just my opinion. But when it comes to parabolic moves, they generally crash to the downside very quickly. And if we do have this angle actually getting broken, we can expect a massive dump to that 4.6 region. Next up is the Ethereum to USD chart. Looking awesome here. We actually had a nice little breakout to the upside. And this just tells us, look, when it comes to that back test, we want to see that back test of that 3600 key region. And once we do hit that, I do expect some consolidation to occur, because as you guys can see, it's a major resistance level right now. We had it previously as a strong support, broke down, retested, and then rejected. So I would like to see some consolidation at this level and a nice little pop up to the upside, which of course most likely mean base native token assets will have a massive pump to the upside. Next up is the Bitcoin chart. Bitcoin chart is still waiting for that breakout of that downtrend. As you guys can see, if I zoom in, our massive breakout to that downtrend is actually around the 95.2k region. I want to see a daily close above that, and that could be our prerequisite to really say, look, this actually could be a reversal and not just a relief bounce. Because right now, Bitcoin could easily make a lower high here and actually roll over from this downtrend area and actually make new lows. Let's see where we go, because right now it's in a very strong reversal trend right now, but we want to see these downtrends actually get broken and stay above. Next up is the Total 3 chart. Let me just zoom out to the daily. And as you guys can see, Total 3 is still chugging along. We had a little nice double bottoming formation. And as it stands right now, a major resistance level is definitely that $943 billion area. And we want to see a breakage above that, and we want to see some consolidation. Still early days, but something to note is the RSI is slowly actually trending to the upside, which actually means buyers are stepping in. I think it's technically... Okay, it wasn't technically a bullish divergence, but it was very close to actually printing one. And if that was the case, it would have been very bullish. But nonetheless, buyers are still stepping in. Seller exhaustion has occurred, and we want to see that reversal to the upside. Next up is the others chart. Very similar to the Total 3 chart, because of course it's basically the altcoins. And when it comes to that, we want to see a nice little breakout to the upside of this downward channel at the $242 billion area. Still early days once again, but if we do see a breakage of this, I can expect a full-on reversal, and all-time highs would be on the cards for the Total 3 and others charts. Next up is the stock market. Stock market is still chugging along. Our last update was actually when it was trying to break out of that downward trend. And look, we're actually consolidating above, and there's zero reason to be bearish on the stock market right now. Just one thing to note is though, I want to see a breakage of this yellow trend line. If we do get a breakage and actually retest as support, be very bullish for the stock market, and that just confirms that continuation of that parabolic move to the upside. Next up is a new chart. This is actually the Memecoin dominance. This chart was actually made around May this year. And look, there actually isn't much data points to show you guys. But at least for the short term, we had a downtrend made since October of this year. And we've finally broken out of that downtrend. So we can expect a really nice relief bounce across the board for our meme coins. And of course, Toshi is one of those. If we do expect new highs for the meme coin market cap, we can also expect new highs for Toshi. So I will be analyzing and showing this chart more often. But look, as it stands right now, it's a nice little downtrend breakout. We can expect continuation and at least some retest of the resistance levels. Next up is Toshi. Toshi once again is still testing and accumulating. It's back in a nice little accumulation range, and I've drawn out this little accumulation range here. It's really trying to break above that 4-2 key region. If we have a nice little weekly breakout to the upside of this 4-2 level, I can expect continuation to that 4-8 level. And just to show you guys the evidence of massive back guard candle retests and how important they are, as you guys can see on 23rd of November, we had a bearish retest of a god candle back test. And just to show you guys what a god candle backtest is, it's basically whenever we have a support level that has been broken and we actually never had a successful retest of that. So as you guys can see, we had tested this as support, then broke down. We never actually retested it as resistance. But on the 23rd of November, we tested it as resistance, had a massive dump to the downside. And now we're just consolidating and waiting for that second turn. If we get a second attempt, we might not break out. We might not break out on that second attempt, but more than likely we can actually break out on that third try. So let's see where we go about that. I want to see at least a daily close above that 4-2 level. If we close above that, we can expect another retest of that god candle backtest. Next up is my larger, higher time frame chart for Toshi. There is an idea I've been playing around for Toshi, as you guys can see. And generally what my idea is, Toshi likes to make new major lows every 90 to 110 days or so. And according to this idea, we printed that low on the 21st of November. And if we do expect this to continue, we can expect an uptrend to occur for the next 3 months or so. And if that is the case, we can expect Toshi to make new highs, especially if Bitcoin and Ethereum also break out. We'll be monitoring it, however, and actually relaying it to you guys. But just an idea, it's quite interesting to see that 90 to 110 days is a consistent low for Toshi. And let's see where we go for that. When it comes to Alien Base, look, Alien Base had a massive dump to the downside for the last few months. But there is some light to the end of the tunnel. As you guys can see on the daily, we were really close to actually breaking out of that massive downtrend. And look, when it comes to that massive downtrend, we actually had an RSI breakout and a retest and looking for continuation to the upside. And if I actually go to the 3-day chart as well, same thing is actually occurring right now. Let me just delete this. As you guys can see, we're having a nice little breakout of the 3-day RSI. And the 3-day RSI is definitely more significant, because of course it's just a higher time frame kind of move. And this tells us seller exhaustion has just occurred for Alien Base. We can expect at least a relief bounce for Alien Base. Let's see if it makes a full-on reversal or just a lower high and rolls over to zero, because of course altcoins are quite risky. But however, if we do expect Ethereum to Bitcoin to really break out, Bitcoin and Ethereum to making all-time highs, it'd be very hard to see Alien Base not to make a new higher high. So I will be monitoring it and showing you guys the charts. But look, as it stands right now, Alien Base is about to have a really nice relief bounce to the upside according to the 3-day and daily RSI, and we can expect buyers to really step in. Next up is Wormhole token. When it comes to Wormhole token, we actually had a Coinbase listing a few weeks ago, and we can actually see that here. So we had a nice little scam week to the upside. We had a God candle back retest on the 25th of November, and as you guys can see, that wick went straight up here to that $107 million range. That was the Coinbase listing, and then we dumped from there because, of course, the last few weeks the markets have been quite terrible. But we're finally starting to pump. This pump has actually been decent. It has been up about 40% from the lows. And really, next step is to really reclaim that massive accumulation range we're in for months. And that level is a $107 million area. I really want to see a weekly close above this. If we can get a close above this, this confirms that Wormhole token has been in a massive high time frame deviation, and this is very bullish for Wormhole token because that just means a lot of sellers just got out of the markets, and we just need to wait for that confirmation to occur. But looking quite good, looking quite bullish, and this is just early days for our altcoins. Next up is some tweets and just some IDs to show you guys. So first of all, the USDT dominance, I really wanted to show you guys because there's a nice chart I really want to show that actually just tells us we might expect some relief to the upside for the USDT dominance, which actually might mean a correction, but overall very bullish. For the short term for USDT dominance, I would not be surprised on this second angle we have a bounce to the upside, because generally it takes a little bit for these parabolic moves to break down. But once they do break down, we expect acceleration just like we had here, where we had a nice dump, retest, and then a massive dump to the downside. So I would not be surprised that is the case for first time around. So we might have a little uptick to the price for the next few days, and then a nice little dump. Because really the next support level for this USDT dominance is way down at that 5.5% area. So I do expect some relief bounces and reversals across the board. But when it comes to this USDT dominance chart, I wanted to show you a tweet just to show the importance of why I really prefer angles instead of parabolic lines, because generally these angles are much more accurate and actually shows the truer picture. So first tweet is by Sonny. I'm not dissing Sonny here because there was a lot of people actually flipping bearish at the bottoms and quite a few charts looking similar to this. And as you guys can see, look, we've got a parabolic move, and usually parabolic moves always end up to the upside. But once they do break down, we have a monster flush to the downside, which of course we already know that. But when it comes to this chart, it just shows how people try to shift the narrative and do irrelevant TA charts to really back their buyers. And as you guys can see, this parabolic move is ending to the upside, and that is correct. But look, when it comes to this parabolic line, it only has 2 touches. And if you wanted a correct parabolic move, it would have been way more than that, because generally 2 touches isn't really a proper trend line. If I was to draw this up, it would have been somewhere like this where it had multiple touches. And if that was the case, look, this actually was a breakdown from here, especially that retest to the downside. And when it comes to that, look, we actually have that breakdown already. This chart was actually made yesterday at the 6.01% level, and I actually replied to it. And I showed the chart yesterday. And when it comes to this chart, this just shows why parabolic moves, you want to have that angle line instead of that curve trend. And nonetheless, when it comes to the chart, we're having a clear breakdown. And as you guys can see, that clear breakdown is probably going to end up to the downside. We're already testing it as support. And really, this support is more than likely going to break down because the trend is down. We had that lower high. And technically, we actually had a bearish divergence as well. Let me just show that to you guys. As you guys can see, yeah, so RSI is trending down. That's a bearish divergence. Surprisingly, that I just saw now, this daily RSI that has actually been in a downward channel is actually looking like it's about to break down. If that is the case, we're going to expect acceleration to the downside, and more than likely, Sonny's chart is going to be incorrect. Not dissing him, but there's so many charts like this that were made at the bottom and at the lows. It's still early days, of course. This relief bounce could fully roll over. But as it stands right now, this USDT dominance is really looking like its chances are increasing to the downside, and more than likely we can see some relief bounces across the board. Of course, when it comes to lower time frames, and what I mean by lower time frames, probably the next few days, I would not be surprised if this actually holds where we just grind on this support and then break down from there. So let's say where we go. Of course, we could still slice through, but my bias is actually grinding on the support and then breaking down from there, which of course means our token assets can go up in price. Next tweet is by CryptoFi. Ethereum's per-wavy bounce, many ingredients to drive this move much higher, exciting times ahead. We had a major upgrade for Ethereum, and if we actually look back to the last Ethereum upgrade for the Petra upgrade back on May 7th, that was basically the local bottom. We had a massive pump to the upside, especially for Ethereum to Bitcoin. And we're actually having that pump upgrade as it stands right now. And look, when it comes to RSI, it's really looking like we're having continuation to the upside. And if we keep this continuation, we can expect at least 3.5k Ethereum and beyond. Next and final tweet is by me. Might be reaching with doing TA on fear and greed, but looks like we're going to see some greed come back into the markets. Greed equals higher prices. Get ready. So as you guys can see, this fear and greed index, I actually showed you this wedge a couple of weeks ago. And as it stands, it's looking exactly like we thought it would. We actually made that new low at the bottom of the wedge. We're broken out, retested as support, and looking like we're going to have continuation. And if we do have a continuation, it basically means more greed is about to go into the markets. And generally, more greed in the markets means more inflows and higher prices. So let's see where we go. Of course, I'll update you guys as usual for the fear and greed index. But it's looking quite good for the markets. My base case is relief bounces across the board. I do expect this relief bounce to continue, but these next few weeks are very important. Let's see if we roll over and just make a lower high and then continue on this downtrend. We really want to see this breakout to occur, but in my opinion, looking quite bullish. We have the USDT dominance really looking like it wants a breakdown from here, and if that is the case, we can expect massive pumps across the board. So that's all to the video, guys. Hope you guys liked the video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and have a good one. Have a good day. Peace.